Hi, my name is Joe Belcastro. I attended College of the Siskiyous from 1960 to 1962. When I attended college here, there were only 3 buildings here and about 200 kids. And I played on the very first basketball and the very first baseball team here. Yeah, I'm born and raised here in Weed. Went to Weed High School. Played all sports in Weed High School, and knew exactly what I wanted to do when I was a sophomore in high school. I had Coach Al Shipman and Mort Kerr as coaches in high school, and more or less idolized them. And I was very small. I only weighed 130 pounds when I graduated from high school, but I wanted to go in the Army and maybe get a little bigger. So in 1958, in June of 1958, I graduated from high school. In August of 1958, I was in the Army. I spent 2 years in the Army. I did my basic training in Fort Riley, Kansas, and then they shipped us to Germany. When I was in Germany, I was in the infantry, and a bulletin came down that they were going to have a baseball team, a post-baseball team. So I got on the phone right away and called my mom. I said, "Ma, send my spikes and my glove." And they got them there. Baseball started. We had our very first practice, and there were probably about 100 guys out there wanting to get on the baseball team. And I'm going out there, and so I'm at third base during batting practice, and they hit a couple of shots down to me, and I scooped them up and threw them to the pitcher. And the manager came over and wanted to know my name, and I told him. Well, out of the 100 kids there, they kept 20, and I was one of the lucky 20 that they kept. Everybody on that team was 20 years old, and I was just 18. I was a third baseman. And the coach, when we started practice, he came up to me and he said, "Joe," he says, "I think I'm going to move you to shortstop." And I always wanted to play shortstop. And so he moved me to shortstop, and I played shortstop for 2 years in the Army. And then I came home in July of 1960, and we started College of the Siskiyous here. Coach John Mazzei was the coach, and played on the very first basketball and the very first baseball team here. And a good friend of mine from high school, who was a couple years behind me, just graduated from high school, and we came here together, Coach Bobby Zalinardo, and we palled around together, and we played on the basketball and the baseball team. And our very first year, we weren't in any league. We just played town teams and that type of thing. Well, our second year here, we got in the Golden Valley Conference, kind of playing against Shasta College and American River and Sierra and Marin, all these schools. And most of the kids on our team were local. There were a couple of twin brothers, in fact. They came in from Oregon, and one of them played both basketball and baseball, and one of them was a pitcher on our baseball team. And we competed, against these other schools. We only had 200-300 kids in the school. 3 buildings were here, but we competed against these other schools, and we did good. So when I left here, no one ever recruited me. I wanted to go on and play baseball at college, and so I went to Sac State, and no one recruited me, but I just went there and I went out for baseball. And I'll never forget, Coach John Mazzei told me, he said, "Joe," he says, "when you're in the locker room, take a look around." And he says, "Take a look. Everybody puts their uniforms on the same way." He says, "Everything is proven when you get out there on the field." So that left a big impression with me. So when we go out there on the field, and I'm a shortstop, and I go to the shortstop position, and there are 2 guys there, and they both were on the team the year before. And so I said, okay. So as the practices continued, and I'm looking, I says, I know I'm better than they are. I felt that. I felt good about it. Well, we come to the very first baseball game. We play Cal in a doubleheader. Well, Coach Boyce, who was my coach there, who was another person that I idolized as a player, we go play Cal, and the very first game, he starts one of the guys, okay. Second game, he starts the other guy, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably not going to play today. Halfway through that game, he puts me in, and for 2 years, he never did take me out. So I was a starting shortstop.
Okay. What type of advice would you give to an incoming student here at College of the Siskiyous?
Well, I would probably say that you have to have a goal. I mean, you got to set, hey, what do I want to do? And what do I have to do to get there? Regardless if it's in school, do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a doctor? Or if it's in sports, do you want to play baseball, basketball? What position you want to play? And you have to give it your best shot. Now, if you give it your best shot and you don't accomplish it, you shouldn't even worry about that, because you give it all you have. So all I ever said was that, hey, come out, give it your best shot, and what happens, happens.
After graduating from college at the Siskiyous and going to Sac State and playing baseball, what did you do after you graduated from Sacramento?
Well, I graduated with a major in physical education, a minor in social science, and I got my master's degree in physical education. I did my student teaching at Rio Americano High School, which was a brand new school. And when I got there as a student teacher, they only had freshmen and sophomores. And so I finished that up, and they weren't hiring right at that moment. So I went on the substitute list and substituted in the San Juan district. I remember going out and I'm thinking, this isn't for me. And it's weird because about 3-4 days later, the principal called me up and he said, Joe, he says, how would you like to teach here at Rio Americano High School? And I was elated. And I said, yeah. So he hired me on, and I spent 13 years there at Rio. And what was great about it was one of my best friends that I went to college with, was on the baseball team with. He was there a semester before me, and we both were in basketball. We both taught the same stuff. And so I went there, and he was the varsity coach. I was his JV coach, assistant coach, for about 8 years. And then the principal called me in one day and asked me if I would like to take over the girls' basketball team. And I thought about it. I said, oh, I don't know. I said, let me think about it. Well, after I thought about it a little bit, I said, yeah. And so I took the girls' basketball team over, and we, for 5 years, in those 5 years, we were in the North Cal Championship all 5 years. And we played in the Oakland Coliseum all 5 years. And 1 year, we won it. 1980, we won the whole thing. So that was great. So job came open at Mariloma High School for boys basketball, and I said, okay, I've done the JV boys, I've done varsity girls, might as well try varsity boys too. And I was a little reluctant, but a good friend of mine over there says, Joe, apply for the job. He says, I'm almost positive you're going to get it. And I said, so I did, applied for the job, and I got it. And I was there for another, 10 years, whatever it was, 10 years or so, and coached boys basketball. And in 1996, I decided, hey, I had enough. I retired and moved back up here to Weed.
If you could describe your experience here at college at the Siskiyous, what would it be?
Phenomenal.
All right, after coming back up to Weed and retiring here, what have you been doing with your retirement?
Well, when I first came up here, I did a lot of deer hunting with my brother, a lot of fishing, and played a lot of golf. Well, as Father Time has caught up with me, I don't deer hunt, I don't fish, but I still go out there and hit the ball around, not like I used to, but at least I'm able to be out there and be with my buddies playing golf. So that's my main thing now is golf.